Hello my adventure friends, this is Jay from I Dream of Indie, and today we're taking a look at Goetia 2, a point-and-click adventure on the Nintendo Switch developed by Moeity and published by Forever Entertainment and Plug-in Digital. In Goetia 2 you play as Luca, bodiless, mostly pure soul that has been pulled apart from his lover Daphne and his own body by Viewer, a tricky demon, shortly after arriving at their rented apartment in Venice. Exploring Venice, you encounter the biggest dilemma. You do not have pockets or an inventory to store items. Instead, using puzzles and imaginative thinking, you must inhabit inanimate objects to solve the mysteries surrounding you, all the while meeting other spirits before going back to Daphne and Lucas's body. Goetia 2 is available for the Nintendo Switch and the PC, and I played it on my Nintendo Switch OLED for this review. When playing on this platform, you are able to use the joysticks to float around the different rooms and even go through walls, thanks to the no-flesh attributes you have now. You also have commands like the X button, which allows you to inspect an object and get information about what Luca is observing, the Y button, which allows you to possess select objects, and the A button, which lets you investigate further or look more closely at other select objects in your journey. You also have the option to utilize the left side shoulder buttons to investigate your surroundings and go to the hotspots of what you should be looking at. I was a little disappointed with the controls because even though you are able to move quite seamlessly, precision is not this game's biggest attribute. I found myself struggling to reach places I needed to without having to turn back because of how far my character went, and also struggling to interact with objects precisely for this same reason. It is also a problem that most of these objects are actually very tiny, and it was hard for me to see at some point. This game features a story that comprises of 5 areas to explore in a non-linear manner, 80 unique rooms, and many characters and spirits to meet along the way. The dialogue for this game consists solely of text boxes and no voice acting. The soundscape for Goetia 2 is beautiful and haunting, with a score that resembles both a horror movie and a lullaby, but in a very soothing way. You are also introduced to spirits and demons like Viewer, who is just a whisper away during your journey. As for visuals, this game looks like a 2D rendered, hand-painted, haunted version of Venice, where you get to visit apartments, a library, city center, and an abandoned boathouse, all with dim colors. Most of the locations are either abandoned or in disarray, with a color palette generally in the gray and green families, which could serve as a wallpaper for fans of dark and scary places. I dove in expecting to learn as much as possible about Viewer, the motives behind the tricks this demon has for Luca and Daphne, and as the game went on, I realized that some of the puzzles were way beyond my comprehension at points, and that the mere act of possessing things instead of being able to carry and put in my inventory and combining them, mixed with the poor precision of my movements as a soul, were a little bit more annoying than enjoyable. In terms of performance, my frame rates were smooth with no hiccups when traveling from section to section, and the only problem I ran into was the fact that after about 30 minutes of gameplay, my screen would sometimes freeze for up to 15 minutes at a time, in which case I had to quit the game and go back to my autosave spot. Overall, Goetia 2 is a rather interesting game that brings unique mechanics to the point-and-click genre. I was able to follow the story, and even when I got stuck in certain puzzles, I still enjoyed the sights and most of all the sounds. I do wish there was more precision in the movements, but when you're a bodiless soul floating through Venice, the wind can make you a little bit woozy.
Thank you so much for supporting clickbait free independent content here at I Dream of Indie. We couldn't possibly make it without our brave indie warriors and legends. At the Indie Warriors tier, we have Bill, Christian Cruz, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, Julian Colbus, Jesse, Ray Lynn, Marky Mint, Dave Hart, Peekaboo, and Lex Noyle. And the brave indie legends include Jen Rose, Larkison, Mitchell Hall, Peach, Skepticism, C. Coyle, Nathan Moore, Chris Jackson, Mr. W, Blue Francis 14, The Beeparinis, Business Cody, Carmen Red, Jace Glover, King of the Hatch, and Ophidian Mind. Thank you so much for all that you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Head on down to the description box below so you can learn how to become an indie warrior or legend yourself, get access to exclusive content, and help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.